So saying, what a great introduction. Never, in describing a minister approaching the stage as the most technical minister you've ever met, have you set a bar so low. It is a great privilege to be here. And just cast your minds back, as we did with Derek, 20 years, and think back then what life was like. Back then, Al Gore had only just invented the internet. Dial-up wasn't a description of your broadband service, but was something you did to your friends. The DTI even existed. And Herman Hauser had just given up a lucrative career designing computers for the BBC to start some obscure chip company in Cambridge. I wonder what happened to that. Back then, I was doing something useful. I was in my... I was in my first job, and my first job was solving Y2K bugs in COBOL. Now I'm the Minister for Digital and Culture, so you can see that progress isn't all a one-way street. And you hardly need me to tell you that digital technology is transforming all of our lives. And in fact, it's many of you who are doing the transforming. It's transforming how we entertain and how we communicate, how we do business, how we do pleasure, how public services are delivered, how political campaigns are conducted. We call it a digital revolution, and that's no hyperbole. It's plain fact. And in fact, in our generation, in the generation that all of us are living through, we are seeing change as great as at any time in history. As great, I believe, as at the Industrial Revolution, as great as in the Agrarian Revolution. The collapse in the cost of storing and transmitting information is greater than at any time since the invention of the printing press over 300 years ago. And that change brought with it the end of feudalism, the collapse in the power of the church, the rise of democracy, and ultimately the Enlightenment. And this time, we're seeing changes delivered by this technology that are, I believe, just as profound. And it is incumbent on us all to get these changes right, to understand the opportunities, to make the most of them, and also to mitigate the challenges that come with them. Now, I started life in the tech industry. I grew up in my family's tech business. In fact, the reason I'm standing here today is because we were, as a small business in the early 1990s, we had one big customer, and the customer went bust. And I was just starting out, and my mother ran the business, and my stepfather wrote the code. You can understand who wore the trousers in my family. We got to a position when our big customer went bust that if by the end of the week the check didn't arrive from them, then we were going to go under too. And it was a check back then. And at a very young age, I had this experience of knowing that, my family's jobs were on the line, the house was on the line, and we very nearly went under. And it was a harrowing experience. And it made me ask the question, not just how do you run a tech business and how does that succeed, but how does the whole economy succeed? How do you make the whole system work so that perfectly decent inventions and perfectly decent businesses don't get dragged under by something outside of their control in this recession that was happening at that time? And in the end, Al Gore did invent the internet, and the business picked up and went from strength to strength, and the check did arrive. And I carried on trying to solve that Y2K bug. It worked, so I hope you're grateful. But I learned an important lesson which is that you've got to get the tech right, yes, but you've also got to get the policy right. And that drove me into politics, and it made me think about the bigger picture, and led me ultimately to where I am today. But it also taught me this lesson. I know what our job is in government, and I know what our job is not. Our job, yes, is to get the infrastructure right and sort out your broadband and the mobile connectivity. Yes, it's great, it's important to get the skills right and make sure that we bring the next generation on, and I know that that's an important part of the work that the NMI does. We're supporting on cybersecurity and the new National Cybersecurity Centre to make sure that we get protections and safety right. But we are determined that our job is to get the environment right for the success of tech, to get the environment in the UK the best it possibly can be, not to try to do the inventions ourselves, because I know profoundly from my time in government since leaving business that if we try to do the inventions ourselves, we will not do it as well as you will. And that is an important lesson too. So just as we support, for example, the development of AI and machine learning, it is our job to have a strong framework to make sure that we bring people with us on these developments. It is not our job to try to understand and try to predict exactly what's going to go on within that. Now, of course, it may be that with the onset and the developments in machine learning and AI, it may be that computers learn to outthink us. Civilization, as we know it, may well come to end, and we'll all bow down to a god called Siri. But it's my profound belief that rather than that happening, technology, data science, artificial intelligence, these things will help us humans to be more productive, to live more fruitful lives. And that brings me to the final point that I want to make, which is about innovation and about the UK's role in it. We need to place this country right at the cutting edge of research and innovation. That is always where we've been at our best. This year we were ranked 3rd in the Global Innovation Index. That is a perfectly respectable position. After all, we still applaud when people get a bronze at the Olympics. But we don't applaud as much as if they get the gold. And it means that we can strive, and we must strive to do better. And this is our task. And I believe that together we can achieve it. And we can achieve it when we combine the technology alongside the creativity. And this is why I'm the Minister both for Digital and Culture. Because I've often heard of people talking about the creative industries, and people sometimes exclusively use it to mean arts-based trades. But yours is a creative industry. Indeed, it is one of the most creative industries. And it's the ideas and the creativity that you bring. Yes, of course, combined with our very best culture, but ultimately designed around the continuous improvement that you deliver. That is the success that is going to make sure that Britain's bread continues to be buttered in the 21st century. And this marriage of creativity and technology, these two huge spheres, grow stronger all of the time. So much relies on beautiful design, creative promotion, increasingly on creative content and the creative underpinning architecture. In order to succeed, in turn, microelectronics supply new platforms, and they reach out to a new audience, and they deliver on new ideas and reach new customers. So our job is to help you to make that happen. I want to work with you as we go ahead and do that. So let us go away from this 20th anniversary renewed, that we might rise to these challenges, that we might seize the opportunities in front of us, and knowing that in doing so, we are working not just for the good of our country and for the good of the businesses that you represent, but make sure that we are working for the greater good too, and ultimately for the betterment of the whole of humankind, because that is what together we can deliver. Thank you very much.